Good evening. This is CBC Windsor News live at 6, and I'm Jason Vio. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's what's making news tonight. AC units at an organization that provides housing and settlement supports for refugees broke earlier this summer. Now a local company has stepped up to help out in a big way. And we take you inside the old Chatham-Kent Jail and Courthouse before it's converted to apartments. We'll also hear from those who worked inside with some interesting stories to share. Plus, what are the sandwiches of Sandwich Town? We'll tell you a bit about a new edible tour in that area coming up. People at a refugee shelter in Windsor are sleeping easier this week. The organization's old AC units went down earlier this summer. The CBC's Chris Ensing now with a refreshing story looking at the power of community connections.
It's a Southern Ontario summertime nightmare. Broken air conditioning units in the middle of a heat wave. As temperatures neared all-time highs in June, Matthew House put out a plea for help.
People in Windsor, Essex are very caring and will find ways to give.
Enter Brian Hazard and his team at Absolute Comfort.
I've lived in Forest Glades since the mid-'80s, and any chance we have to help give back to our community.
This is our hot water plant for the whole building, 19,000 square foot building.
Morency says the local heating and cooling company went absolutely above and beyond. New hot water tanks, cooling units, and a more efficient system that will save money in the long run.
We can control it using a smartphone app or a tablet app to make sure that we have appropriate heating and cooling.
But it wasn't just the work. Morency says he's touched by the way the company and community have stepped up.
None of this would have been possible without community partners, locally owned businesses that care about community.
Hazard says his company is happy to help. Quick to highlight that this was Forest Glade in full force.
We have very deep roots to the Forest Glade community. It just matters to us to be able to help in the place that has allowed my family to grow and prosper.
Those community connections didn't stop when the cool air started to flow. Absolutely Comfort helped organize a community barbecue to raise money for the project, grilling hot dogs to celebrate cooler days.
We had people from Forest Glade Optimist Club, we had people from Forest Glade Baseball that were there helping out. It was pretty amazing to have these people donating their time to help us help someone else.
Matthew House will continue to fundraise to cover off the $13,000 bill, a sum Morency calls a miracle of a deal, 45% cheaper than any other. Quote, people can donate online. Both Hazard and Morency say if people want to help but can't offer money, there's something more valuable.
Time is the one thing we can give because it doesn't cost us anything. It doesn't take a lot of effort or a lot of time to be kind.
Chris Ensing, CBC News, Windsor.
A massive construction project near Devonshire Mall is set to finally get underway. The work will fix what many feel is an awkward intersection. It's where Howard Avenue, Division Road, and South Cameron Boulevard meet at strange angles near the railway tracks across from a main entrance at the mall. Now, the $18 million construction project was supposed to start in June. We'll learn more details tomorrow morning. That's when Mayor Drew Dilkins and City Councillor Kieran McKenzie will discuss the infrastructure improvement project. Well, a local contractor is getting hammered for what police say was unlawful behavior. The man allegedly solicited deposits ranging from $20,000 to $115,000. That money came from victims who thought various construction projects would be finished, but they were never completed. Windsor police have laid fraud charges against the 41-year-old contractor. According to police, he defrauded the homeowners out of nearly $600,000. Well, the more than centuries-old Courthouse and Jail in Chatham-Kent is about to undergo a major renovation. Instead of cells, the historic building will house apartments. The CBC's Ankur Gupta has the story.
This 174-year-old Chatham-Kent Courthouse and Jail has housed many prisoners from 1850 to when it closed in 2014. But now, you don't have to be an inmate to stay inside the historic building. You just need to buy a unit from the developer who is converting the property into apartments. The old courthouse and jail holds many fascinating stories inside of it. You know the expression, if the walls could talk. While they can't, some former jail guards are sharing some stories.
When I started in 1990, this was the uniform.
Dave Arnold was a correction officer at the jail for 24 years, starting in 1990. Arnold recalls a bold escape story where the prisoner cut a hole in the ceiling and shimmied down the drain pipe to break out the jail and then stole a getaway car.
He wants to make us escape back to Quebec, so he's driving down the 401, and he's driving and he's drinking and he's consuming the beers, and eventually alcohol took over and he rolled the vehicle in the middle of the 401. Well, an OPP cruiser came up to investigate it and saw the man was still wearing orange and put two and two together, and bingo, he's rearrested.
One of the building's buyers, Leslie Lonsbury, told CBC News that they plan on keeping the exterior as it is. The interior plans are still underway, so he couldn't provide any details, from the layout to number of units. Alison Story is a local councillor. She is outside the courthouse, which is adjacent to the jail. Story is excited about the project and has a connection with the building.
It's been abandoned and empty for about a decade now, so there's always a risk when a building has been empty that long that it might go the way of the landfill. So to know that this structure behind me, which is designed by award-winning mid-century modern architect Joe Story, who happens to be my grandfather, thrilled to hear this portion will be sticking around.
Another jail guard, Loris Arthurton, remembers a time when one of the inmates smuggled in some drugs and it caused riots inside.
I reported for work, I'm going to say the year 2000, but it was Easter Sunday, and I think it was 2000. And when I came in, I heard just this roar of crazy noise and smoke.
It's not too late to hear some of the old prisoner stories firsthand before the property is gutted. Former jail guards will continue to give tours of the historic building at least until September. Ankur Gupta, CBC News, Windsor.
The Ford government is paying an American lobbying firm $1.3 million to promote the province's interests both before and after the upcoming U.S. election in November. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redekop explains why.
Premier Doug Ford has traveled to Washington to talk trade with top U.S. officials before, but now his government is trying a different move, hiring a Washington-based lobbying firm. The details, first reported by the Globe and Mail, are included in a filing to the Foreign Agents Registration Act. It's under the U.S. Department of Justice. The province will pay almost $55,000 a month to the company before and after November's U.S. election for a year, up to a maximum of just over $1.3 million.
I would also suggest that right now in the United States, their minds are elsewhere.
Ontario's NDP leader isn't convinced of the timing, as the Democrats and Republicans battle it out for votes. And she questions the use of taxpayer dollars.
Don't we have high-priced folks that they're already set up in some of these the big cities in the United States doing trade work apparently for us? Like, what are they doing?
Ontario's economic development minister defended the move.
The trade between Ontario and the U.S. is almost $500 billion annually. We are the U.S.'s third largest trading partner. It's Mexico, China, Ontario, not Canada, Ontario.
And he says this is also about the next trade deal between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico.
In 2026, the NAFTA 2.0, as I call it, agreement is up for review. We've got to make sure that we are at the table and fighting for the Ontario taxpayers.
When we form the next government.
In a statement, Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie says trade is crucial, but that Ontarians should ask themselves if Ford's million-dollar lobbyists are a wise use of tax dollars.
Again and again, Donald Trump made decisions.
Premier Ford responded after Tim Walz became the Democrats' pick for vice president. He's the governor of Minnesota, which borders Ontario, and the two have met.
I was happy as punch to see the governor get nominated. It's all about building relationships. I'll work with anyone. I don't care, Republican, Democrat. I don't care who's in there.
Whoever does end up winning, those U.S. lobbyists will be making a pitch for Ford and his government. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
As we mentioned on yesterday's show, Canada Post has temporarily stopped delivering mail to some parts of Sandwichtown. According to the corporation, the service was suspended to homes and businesses affected by the ongoing construction on Sandwich Street. That's because of health and safety concerns for its letter carriers. Residents now have to pick up their mail at the Canada Post depot on Walker Road, more than a 2-hour walk away or about a 15-minute car ride. The disruption in mail service doesn't sit well with some.
Well, it's not very convenient, I'll tell you, and that's just for myself, but this whole neighborhood is upset about it. It's been tough for me because, you know, of my age, I do drive, but I don't like going out that far.
And the ongoing road work in that area is also an issue for Sandwich Town businesses, which worry the construction chaos is keeping customers away. So the local BIA has come up with a creative solution to attract people to the area. It's promoting a tour of sandwiches around Sandwich Town. The hope is no matter how you slice it, the campaign will take off.
Oh, sandwiches are beautiful, sandwiches are fine. I like sandwiches, I eat them all the time. I eat them for my supper, I eat them for my lunch, and if I had 100 sandwiches, I'd eat them all at once.
How have we never had a sandwich festival in Sandwich? And now that we're entering in essentially what is going to be some of the most difficult weeks of construction, it's an idea that we came up with in order to encourage people to once they visit one restaurant, they'll get this exclusive sandwich, which is only available through this program, and then be encouraged to then visit maybe a restaurant they haven't tried before and try what they have on offer.
Jam or ham or cucumber, any kind will do. I like sandwiches, how about you?
Even though there's a lot of dust, there's a lot of construction going on, all of these amazing businesses are all still open and they need our city's support more than ever. And because when we come out of this, we're probably going to be the coolest looking neighborhood in Windsor, Essex. But we have to get there first.
We didn't have a sandwich when we were approached by the BIA, so we thought to our roots back in Pakistan, when you're on a travel journey, say you're taking a bus, these are the traditional sandwiches that you'd be served on the bus. And yeah, we just thought we'd get a taste of back home and bring it into Sandwich Street. Oh, that's great. That's where it's at.
And the Sandwich Tour in Sandwich runs until September the 16th. And CBC Windsor is inviting people who live in the Sandwich neighborhood to take part in a free listening session. That's where we here at CBC spend some time listening to what matters most to you and your community and what stories you think we should be telling. It's happening next Wednesday, August 21st from 6 until 7:30 p.m. at Mackenzie Hall. And you can register by checking out the story on our website or scanning the QR code on your screen. Chris Potter joins us live for a look at weather. Chris, I don't know about you, but I feel like maybe a sandwich. BLT, I don't know.
What's your favorite sandwich?
A BLT.
BLT? That's a solid sandwich choice, Jason. Solid.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with that.
I'm going to go with a Philly cheesesteak.
Ooh, those are good. If I wasn't vegan, pre-vegan, I did have that and they were delicious, but can't have that now.
Yeah.
But it sounds good.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And before we get to the weather, obviously, you know, it's been a great stretch of weather for the past couple of days. Our run of sun, Jason, unfortunately, will be coming to an end. We're going to move into an unsettled weather pattern starting off tonight, continuing through tomorrow and into Saturday and Sunday. Conditions then improve once we get into Monday and Tuesday. Quick update on Ernesto. Now a high-end Category 1 with 140 km/h winds, slightly stronger wind gusts of around 165, and it's a very large hurricane. Large hurricanes doesn't necessarily depict how strong it is, but nonetheless, because of its sheer size, as it continues to track over open waters, it is anticipated to intensify a little bit. Category 2 is pretty much a guarantee, maybe even a Category 3, which would make it a major hurricane, and it does look like it will hold on to hurricane status as it pushes through Bermuda, just to the west. Hurricane force winds are expected, strong storm surge and heavy rainfall, and because it's slow moving, this will have an impact on Bermuda for Friday night and through the entire day on Saturday. It's not going to affect southern Ontario, but it will impact Atlantic Canada. It doesn't make landfall across Nova Scotia, but storm force winds are still expected, heavy rain, storm surge is possible as well, and possibly moving in towards the Avalon. But we'll bring it back home. Windsor, normal daytime high for this time of year, is close to 27, and temperatures today did peak close to that value. Temperatures right now at 24 in Windsor, 25 in Chatham, and 26 through London and Kitchener, feeling as high as 31 in Sarnia right now. In terms of the active weather, it's all driven by the next system, and it is moving in from the west, and unfortunately, it's a large system. It's slow moving as well, and this will once again have an impact on the weather for tonight. and unfortunately into the weekend. Not a washout, though. Do not worry. We get into showers starting off through the overnight, kind of hit or miss in nature. The bulk of the rainfall for tomorrow will be during the mid to late morning and possibly the early afternoon. Then we'll start to get into some sunny breaks, so it's not a washout kind of day. We'll remain clear to mostly clear through the evening. As we get into Saturday, we cloud back over, and we're basically looking at on and off showers, a slight risk of a few thunderstorms as well. But once again, not a washout day. Do not cancel your outside plans. Just have the umbrella handy. Once we get into Sunday, more of the same. In terms of the overnight low, temperatures anywhere from 19 to 21. Once we get into tomorrow afternoon, temperatures climb back up towards 25 to 28, and daytime highs will feel closer to 33, thanks to the humidity. Once we get into Saturday, we have highs near 26, overnight low of 19, 24 your high for Sunday with on and off showers. We should clear out into Monday. We'll get back into lots of sunshine through the afternoon. A touch cooler as well, Jason, with highs near 24, and then 23 for us on Tuesday with ample sunshine.
Not bad, so get that umbrella out in the short term. Thanks,
You
Chris.
got it. Thanks.
We'll have some more news for you coming up right after the break. Stay with us. Canada's housing market remains tight across the country, but one small town in Saskatchewan is offering a bold new incentive to entice people to move there. $30,000 to anyone who builds a house in that community. Alexander Silberman explains.
Tiny Moosomin, Saskatchewan is booming. Growing so quickly, the town is preparing for its population to nearly double. So it's trying a unique strategy to build more housing, giving $30,000 to anyone who builds a home. Any type of housing qualifies. It doesn't matter if it's a single-family home, a basement suite, or apartments. And if it's multi-unit, the builder gets $8,000 for each additional door. The town got its funding from the federal government's Housing Accelerator Fund to try and keep up with its growing population.
We've got a lot happening, and the one thing that's been holding us back lately has been the lack of housing. So we've got people trying to bring new employees in, and there's just no place for them to live.
Moosomin has a diverse economy. There's manufacturing, natural resources nearby like potash, and lots of local businesses opening up. People here say there's no shortage of work. The town has also drawn a lot of newcomers to Canada in recent years, including dozens of families from Ukraine and the Philippines.
It is a huge sense of community here. People are so helpful to each other. There's no problem that we can fix. You know, we want to build a playground, we're going to build a playground. You know, the Filipino community wants to build a basketball court, they're going to build that.
Moosomin is trying to do everything right to be a small town that keeps growing. It's working with all levels of government, opening a new water treatment plant, a daycare, and looking into other housing incentive programs, all part of a plan to keep growing steadily into the future. Alexander Silberman, CBC News, Moosomin, Saskatchewan.
Global pop sensation Taylor Swift kicks off 5 days of concerts at London's Wembley Stadium tonight. They are the first shows since all of her dates in Austria were cancelled because of a foiled terror plot. And as the CBC's Kayla Hounsell shows us, security is tight.
The Clarabelle one, that was horrible. Oh my gosh, I love it. Thank you so much.
They've waited a long time for this night, one some worried might not happen at all. This father-daughter duo came from Nova Scotia.
We're here to see Taylor Swift in London.
Swift's London show is the first since all 3 of her Austria shows were cancelled last week. Authorities say they foiled a plot to launch an ISIS-inspired attack outside the venue in Vienna.
It made me very, very scared, and I just felt so bad for all the Vienna Swifties.
Welcome to the Eras Tour. Swift's Era Tour is already the highest grossing of all time. In London, the excitement cannot be overstated, but for some, it is tempered.
I think it's definitely scary to some extent, but I feel like we're protected well enough.
Police and security officials here at Wembley Stadium are certainly on high alert, but experts say that's always the case when it comes to major events.
It's a very well practiced complex that hosts some of the highest profile events that we ever hold in this country, and you would expect, quite rightly, for there to be a gold standard of security wrapped around that, and there is.
This former counter-terrorism coordinator says the country has learned some hard lessons.
Oh my God.
22 people were killed in a terror attack at a concert in Manchester in 2017. Since then, counter-terrorism training has become mandatory for licensed security officials. Swift's concerts often draw tens of thousands of people who don't have tickets outside arenas. For security reasons, that's been banned at Wembley Stadium. Swift's tour will head to Toronto for 6 sold-out shows next, concluding in Vancouver in December.
He just got traded this one.
I got traded this one. This is awesome.
It has some really cool London jewels.
These Canadians say they're already on the hunt for more tickets to see Swift at home. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, London.
Still to come here on CBC Windsor News Live at 6, a carpet of flowers in Brussels. That story is next. Therapy that involves animals is increasingly recognized as an effective way to help some people overcome mental and physical difficulties. A facility near Ottawa specializes in the use of horses in a therapeutic program, and it has one 3-year-old riding high.
It's the mouse. With the kitten.
She's always had a thing for animals, cats, dogs. She talks about them all the time, horses. The first time she rode a horse, it was an adjustment period, a lot of crying, a lot of screaming. So it did take a few lessons to get adjusted. But once we got over that hump, she looks forward to coming here on Thursdays. And with her syndrome, we were told when she was born that she may not walk, she may not talk, she may not do certain things. So to be able to see our daughter doing these things is a blessing. It's truly a blessing. When we first started therapeutic horseback riding, Aria could barely sit on her own without any support. So therapeutic horseback riding has allowed her to develop her core strength, and we believe that it's contributed to much of her success and her opportunities today. Because of that strength that it's provided, she's now able to walk with a walker.
It's provided her a lot of inclusion, the ability, the mobility to be able to get things that she wants. The ability to stand up, to be able to get to the things on the counters and stuff like that. It's made a big difference. So yeah, it was a lot of nerves for Dad. When she told me she wanted to put my daughter on a horse at 2 was a little bit scary, but once I saw like how they handled her and how secure she is and everything else, it made a big difference, and Dad was okay with it after that. You pretty girl?
I can't take the cat.
The flower carpet event in Brussels has been turned into street art this year, bringing a modern take to a decades-old tradition.
I just wanted to illustrate the diversity of Brussels, the way of all the Hood are communicating together with their own identity, historical of language and difference, and make Brussels a whole big, unique city, super dynamic.
The artist used nearly 1 million flowers to carpet the city's historic central square. At 70 meters long and 24 meters wide, it took more than 100 volunteers about 6 hours to complete the floral puzzle. This year, they used fresh dallilas to fill up 80% of the carpet instead of the traditional begonias. Well, that's it for us here at CBC Windsor News, live at 6. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can head to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.